Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Entitled People. Let's check out some more Reddit stories, so sit back and relax and let's jump in. Alright, so there's a piece of news that just came out that I think you guys might find interesting. Actually, interesting probably isn't the right word. Enraging, maybe? 72-year-old turns off the bed neighbor's oxygen machine in the hospital. In Mannheim Hospital, a patient turned off the necessary oxygen for her 79-year-old roommate. The victim had to be resuscitated. The alleged motive of the alleged perpetrator is bizarre. A 72-year-old put her bed neighbor in mortal danger in hospital, allegedly because she wanted her peace. The elderly woman is in custody because she is said to have switched off her fellow patient's oxygen device. The 79-year-old bed neighbor was dependent on the mechanical oxygen supply. Nevertheless, the accused even switched off the device twice on Tuesday evening because the noise disturbed her. The victim had to be resuscitated. After the first switch off, the hospital staff pointed out to her that the oxygen supply was vital for her neighbor. Nevertheless, she pressed the main switch again a little later. The 79-year-old had to be resuscitated. Although she is now out of danger, she is still in the intensive care unit. The 72-year-old is suspected of attempted manslaughter. On Wednesday, she was brought before the magistrate who executed the arrest warrant. She was put in a correctional facility. My god, man, what in the world? I'm not laughing because it's funny or anything, it's just the absolute absurdity of this. Turning off someone's oxygen machine just because it's noisy? What were they even thinking? Furthermore, I'd really be interested to hear what her defense would be in court. How do you even explain that? I hope the courts don't go easy on her, please. Just don't let her get away with that. So moving on. This one's called Old Man Parks His Car in the Middle of the Road. Somehow I'm at fault? Something bizarre happened to me yesterday. I was pulling into a parking lot when the car in front of me suddenly came to a complete stop in the middle of the lane. Its owner, an older white man, turned it off, got out, and started walking into the nearest store in the strip mall. He just parked his car in the middle of the lane. I could have gotten around it if I really tried, but it'd be dangerously close to either his car or other parked cars. I lightly tapped my horn twice at him, seeing as how I was essentially stuck now. He turned around, and I rolled my window down and said to him, "That's not a parking space." He dramatically pointed at my car, then did this right this way motion with both hands, sort of aiming at the very narrow path that I guess he thought I should be able to get through. I repeated myself again, "Sir, that's not a parking space. I can't get around you." He responds with, "Why is it that one of you people, every time, just go around?" So he's done this before? And I say to him, "Sir, what are you doing? That's not a parking space. I need you to move." "I need you to mind your own business," he responds. "Come on, you can't park there. Please, just move your car," I said. At this point, his lips were doing that weird shake that old people do when they hang their mouths open. I guess he thought he was being intimidating. He stepped up to my window and yelled, "You wanna make me?" Okay, so he's done this before, and he's being an aggressive jerk? Now, I've read on here where other people have interacted with older Karens, and there's apparently a card you can play that bypasses this sort of attitude. So I say, "Sir, are you okay? Do you know where you are?" "What?" he asked. "Are you with someone? Is there someone who's supposed to be helping you today? What are you... Do you need help? It sounds like you don't know where you are, and I'm worried for you. Is there anyone I can call for you to help you?" I think he caught on to me at this point, because he switched back from confused to being angry again. "I don't know, is there anyone I can call for you?" And I'm just thinking, is that somehow a threat? I don't know. So I say to him, "Sir, it's okay, don't worry. You just stay right there and I'll call someone who can come help you. Don't worry, it'll be okay. Just don't move and I'll call for an ambulance." At this point, I backed into a parking space that had been opened behind me and pulled out my phone. I really was going to call 911, but only because he was too confrontational to be left unattended in public. Of course, as with most bullies, the moment they realize they don't have power over you, he gave up, muttered something, got back in his car and left. On my way out of the lot, I saw that he had miraculously found his way into a parking spot on the other side of the lot. That does sound like it'd be a pretty effective way to deal with that. Even though you know they're probably just being inconsiderate and entitled, just act like they're coming off as confused and senile instead. Although he probably just mainly moved his car because OP was about to call 911. So either way, it worked out. Entitled mother was mad at me for not knowing her son was autistic. Demands a discount. For context, I too am autistic, but I have gotten therapy for social skills, but other things can still trigger an episode. I-20NB worked at Spirit Halloween this season, and towards the end of the season, it always gets insane. So one day our store gets entirely trashed due to short staffing issues. The next day, we all collectively agree as staff that we are to ask customers to pick up after themselves if caught messing something up. Now obviously, we can't catch absolutely everyone, but for the most part, I was pretty much on everyone in my section. Now cue the mom, her 4 kids, and them running around. She's on the phone, not paying attention to them. And the son she claims is autistic is messing with our pegs, pulling them out of the wall. I catch him, and as he runs to leave them on the floor, I stop him and ask him nicely but sternly to pick them up and put them back. He does, but he tries to put it back in the wall and fails. I just ask them to bring them to me since it is a little difficult to stick them back in. Cue the mom rushing over, snatching the pegs out of his hands and giving them to me. "He's autistic, he doesn't know any better," she said, then yanking him away and walking off. All of this happened in the span of a minute. In my head, I'm startled because A, I didn't see her coming since I was just around the corner. B, what does him being autistic have anything to do with cleaning up after yourself? And C, even if that is a defining factor, he looked to be about 12 to 14 years old. He should have known better to clean up after himself regardless. So I replace the pegs and go tell my manager what happened. And she says, "Alright, if I get a complaint, don't worry about it." This was all towards the end of my shift, so I was gone before the lady checked out. My manager calls me about 30 minutes after I'm off to tell me that the lady had indeed complained and demanded that she get a refund for incompetent employees. My manager rolled her eyes and didn't give her one after having my back, according to her. She asked why she wasn't paying more attention to her kids, if she knew she had to be in a busy costume store this close to Halloween with a special needs son. The lady was quiet after that and left grumbling. I loved that manager. She was a you mess with the bull, you get the horns kind of person. If the kid is actually autistic and doesn't know any better, then how does that make what he does okay? I feel like that should be even more of a reason to keep an eye on him and also teach him how to act. Sure, yeah, he's special needs, but that doesn't mean letting him do whatever he wants and not teach them anything, because that's basically implying that they're beyond help and can't be taught. But I guess in the moment, her saying that was more of just an excuse, which is also not great because she's using her own kid's autism to get away with stuff. Mother of the Year. Lady complained to California Fish Grill manager to make me move tables and got arrested. So this just happened and I'm pretty bent about it. I went to California Fish Grill, CFG, for a late lunch. It was a pretty standard ordeal. I ordered my meal, grabbed a drink, and made sure to grab a small table with only 2 seats, so I wouldn't take up too much space. Not that it really mattered because the restaurant was fairly empty with plenty of tables. As I'm casually sitting at the small table for 2, an older lady came up and asked me to move. I was a bit puzzled because she came in after me. The table I was at appeared to be untaken, and there were plenty of other available seats. I asked why, and she said she wanted a table big enough for her and her son. At this point, I told her I wasn't going to inconvenience myself when there were plenty of other open tables. She could simply go sit elsewhere with her son. So she started getting frustrated with me and telling me that I needed to respect my elders and that her son would not be able to sit at another table. I just ignored her though because it was not my problem. So this lady walks off and tells the manager that I took her table and was refusing to give it back to her. She brings the manager over and explained that her son is very upset that I took their table and it was hurting his feelings. We had a few minutes of back and forth before the manager just gives me this look of, "I don't make enough money to deal with this, please just move." So whatever, I get up, go to another table, and this lady just glares at me. I glare back, and she's sitting all by herself. At first, I thought she was just a liar and didn't have a son. Maybe she just wanted to abuse what little power she had. After like 10 minutes though, this guy walks in with a full suit and tie, maybe 40 to 50 years old, and approaches this lady and calls her mom. They exchange some words, and he starts glaring at me too. At this point, I'm just annoyed and trying to eat my lunch in peace. So her son, a grown-ass man, shouts at me across the restaurant and asks if I think it's funny to disrespect his mom like that. And I just look at him puzzled because I have no idea what he's talking about. He shouts again, "Yeah, you in the hat." So I just ignore him because this is stupid. As he continued to harass me, I decided to just flip him the bird. This lady and her son lost their shit, got up yelling, screaming, and generally causing a scene. The son started threatening to kick my ass. He asked me if I liked being such a smartass, so of course I had to let him know it was better than being a dumbass. Anyway, this commotion resulted in the police being called by the manager. They showed up after an unclear amount of time, walked right up to this lady and her son, and asked them to leave. The lady starts going off about how I stole her table, was harassing her, and how I started it. Now, this poor police officer looks down at me, casually sitting at my table eating my salmon, then tells this ancient woman that I don't seem to be bothering anyone. So the lady signals out the manager, hoping that they will corroborate her story. And the manager explains in great detail that this woman had come in and started harassing me. She asks the woman and her son to leave, and they both refused because they paid for their food and said they had a right to sit at any table for as long as they wanted. After refusing to leave, this hag of a woman and her son were cuffed and escorted away. I made sure to move to her table as she left, just to rub salt in the wound. Man, some people just love getting themselves in trouble over absolutely no good reason, don't they? I don't know why she wanted OP's table in the first place when there were apparently a lot of free spots, and even though OP moved to a different table for them, she still couldn't let it go, and decides to get her equally crazy son involved. But what really gets them arrested in the end is just pure stubbornness. They could have easily just packed up their food and left after being asked to leave, so they 100% deserve that. Be an a-hole on the road? I won't stop to help. The place I work closes at 10, and I'm always closing. Halloween night, I was going home, and to get home I had to cross over a massive and long hill. It's almost pitch black on this hill, and it's crawling with deer. That may even be an understatement. Anyway, I was going a little under the speed limit, since they were everywhere and constantly walking into the road. As I'm driving, an old pickup truck comes up and rides my ass while flashing his high beams. I speed up, and so does he, still flashing his lights. I held my speed because I didn't want to risk hitting one since my car is so small. He then passes me while laying on his horn and flipping me off. He floors it down the road at like 90 and disappears. I get being frustrated, I was going sort of slow, but he could see the deer. They were running around everywhere. Maybe like a minute down the road, I see headlights in a ditch. Lo and behold, this dude's bumper is obliterated. He's okay though, just standing and observing his damage with his hands on his head. As I drive by, I honk and wave. Alright guys, that's it for today. Thank you for watching as always, I do appreciate it. Drop a like if you enjoyed and subscribe for more. So have a nice day everyone, and I'm out of here.